Okay, I think that's recording.
Yeah.
So I'm still waiting for a couple of views, but hopefully I won't. If they join the waiting room, hopefully I will not miss them. But yeah. So you guys should have collected your wax packs. If you haven't, if you can just come in and come in and grab them when you're next in the building. I'll start off with just making sure that we're all on the sort of same page with sort of the project. So it's wax, and it's obviously introduction to it, so everyone can use the wax packs and work from home. The way that I don't know if you guys have watched the induction video that I sent out for the workshop, but the way it's working in the workshop is we've got access for 5 students, so that's like 3 in the downstairs bit. Yeah, 3 downstairs, and then 2 in the upstairs mez section. But because there's 20 of you, that means that because it's only the second half of the semester, that you only get about 2 sessions inside the actual workshop. So that's why there's the wax packs for you guys to work from home. We'll have these weekly Zoom sessions, and the aim is just sort of for me to just chat a bit about wax, sort of share some sort of techniques with you, and sort of just have a bit of like a question answer thing. We can sort of just casually chat through it, really. So yeah, so each week I was gonna just split it into sort of have a theme for the week, and then I'll chat sort of maybe a bit more in depth about that. So I'll just tell you what we've got sort of coming, so that you've sort of got a note of it. So week 1, which is today, it's just introductions, and we're going to talk through the wax tools and the different types of wax. And then next week we'll talk more about rings and repairs. In week 3 we'll talk more about the actual lost wax casting process itself, with some videos. Week 4 we'll talk about multiples with like mold making, and then week 5, the last week, we'll just talk about finishing up, like how you would finish your models. So that's how we split it up. Like I say, just if anybody has questions as we're going along, then just ask as we go. We'll go for that. So let me see. So wax. So to start off with, just talking about wax.
Hello, Millie.
Hi, Alison. Hi. Yeah, so to talk about with wax, it's a really great material to work with, because it's like it's so soft and malleable.
Can I just ask, the reason it's been recorded, Millie?
Yeah, it's recording. Yeah, so I should be able to put it on Moodle when we're done, I think.
Oh,
is that all right? So yeah, so basically wax is really great because...
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, my internet's a bit wobbly.
Okay. Yeah, it's really good because it's soft, it's malleable. It's the reason that you'd use wax is perhaps because you couldn't get the shapes and the textures that you wanted from just pure sheet or wire. It's much more forgiving than metal as well, because it's so much softer. Obviously it's a completely different material, so it's sort of different, you know, that you have to put different force, like a much lighter touch into sort of getting it how you want it to be. Wax carving itself is a really, really traditional like jewelry technique. It's been around for centuries, and it's used in the process called lost wax casting. So know that the wax is the first part of the process. It's not the finished piece. So the wax will become metal in that process. So know that we're not making like things to be finished in wax. The like updated modern version as such of wax carving would be your 3D printing, which I think is can be included in this brief if you wanted to do like 3D prints and computer modeling, then I think that's part of this as well. But yeah, so sort of 3D printing it, you can now print in wax itself. Some printers can. I think at uni, I think we're still just printing in plastic. I can't remember the ST something. Anyway, in plastic. But then there's also like CNC machines, and that's so 3D printing is obviously like building up from nothing. And like CNC, my understanding is that it's like you've got a block and you're using the computer to carve into it. So that's sort of how wax carving has sort of progressed as such. And those 3D stuff would be designed on software like Rhino. But it's really great to sort of see how you would make something traditionally with the wax. And I really like it because you really feel involved in the process, and you really can feel the metal, not the metal, the wax. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's see. So I was going to start off with talking about the tools. So like I said, you guys should have your wax packs. If you've not, come and get it. You guys should all have your own jeweler's saw. So obviously that's what this one is, as we know from before. Start off with is in your packs, there should be a single spiral saw blade. So it will be in there somewhere. I've put a little bit of tape on it, so it was a little bit easier to find. It's a little bit harder to break a spiral saw blade than it is just your standard like saw blade. So that's why I only put one in. Hopefully that will last you the whole time. But if you do break it, just obviously give me a message. Just a little reminder of how we put the saw blade in. It's all about the tension with it. So I know we did this before, but I do it standing up. I'll put the blade in the bottom first and tighten it, and then line it up in the top bitty, and then like put your body weight into it and tighten it so that it's nice and taut, so that it will actually cut. The reason that the wax blade is a spiral is that so that the wax doesn't get all clogged up. As we have the different grades of saw blade, like your standard normal one for metal would be like a 2/0. It will just get clogged up with the wax too quickly. So if you didn't have a spiral blade, you would maybe use like a numbered one, so like a number 4, or like a thick teeth like hacksaw blade. But I think that the spiral saw blades work pretty well. So that's in your pack. Oh, I just loosened it. That's in your pack, and that gets you really far with starting off like cutting out your shapes. Then the next thing is your files. So you should have like a big file in your pack, and that's what you would sort of start off with, just gently shaping the wax. Like I say, it's so much softer than metal. You'll be able to like get rid of material quite quickly. So we've got the big files, and then there's also some smaller needle files. Again, these are just be getting in a little bit more like detail, sort of when you have smaller parts of the design. So this is what's in your packs. Other types of wax files that we have in the workshop are ones with much bigger, chunkier teeth. So the chunky teeth will like take away material much quicker, and they get a little bit less clogged up. You might find your wax ones get a bit clogged, but you just want to help scrape it out. That's the other thing to note is that the files that you're using for wax, you would have them separate from your metal files. You don't want to like mix them up and sort of clog up all your metal files with wax. That's not really ideal. So that's the files. Then just the same as you would do in metal, you can also move on to like wet and dry paper. So I know we mentioned before about sort of like you could make your own wet and dry sticks. Again, you would keep these separate from your metal ones because they're just covered in wax. But that can help get rid of all the scratchy marks that you'll get from the files. Whatever impression is left in the wax is what will be cast. So it's really good because it captures so much textures, but also if you've left loads of scratchy file marks or fingerprints, that is how it will look. So yeah, the other thing in your packs is some like wax, some carving tools. These are wood carving tools, but they work really well for wax as well. So the ones that are the ones that are in your packs are technically for wood, but they just help sort of scrape into the wax and carve it away. If you was like really into wax carving, then there's certain carving tools called the brand is called Wolf, and so they create really, really great carving tools. Sort of good to be aware of. Then there's also tools that are called gravers in the jewelry workshop. Just handy to know what they are. Gravers are normally used for like hand engraving, or they could be used for like stone setting. But again, it's the same sort of principle as the carving tool. It's sort of like a metal end that sort of can sort of carve grooves and sort of scratch into it. Often with many things, it can be handmade tools and like tools that you just find that work well with the material. Burrs is the other thing. So these are little like round-headed or cylindrical-headed burrs, and this is what you would put into your into the pendant motor, and then this is what you would use to take material away. Yeah, I'll come back to that point. But yeah, so that's the burrs. Then another cold tool that I use quite a lot would be my dividers, to help measure exactly the right width that I need to be cutting out. So they would go alongside my calipers. So if I needed, for example, if I needed a precise 5mm carved ring, then I would be using these tools to make sure I've got it right. Yeah, so those are like I would say like cold tools that we can use, but then we also can use like hot tools. So for that, I would be using I've got a spirit lamp, and using the spirit lamp, which you would use in the workshop, there's also different types of dental tools that you would put in them. So like they've got different heads, so it sort of depends on what you need it to do as to what sort of head you would use. But the spirit lamp's sort of nice and easy. You would just light the lamp, and then you just hold the tool. You can see it, yeah. Just hold the tool gently in the flame, and sort of get it to cut into the wax. The reason that you would be using the heat, whether it's maybe part of the design, have melted bits, or mainly if we're going into repairs, or that's repairs, or spruing, that's the one. Or if we were spruing it to the tree, that's when we would need to be using the heat. So that's the spirit lamp. Then there's also solder probes, like soldering irons. Soldering irons. These obviously just plug in, and they get really hot. They get hotter than you would get the wax tools, the spirit lamp. So that's quite handy to use. There's also tools to look out for called wax pens. They have like tiny little nibs, and they sort of are very precise with where they can sort of gently melt the wax. Another thing that I would maybe do is use the torch and my solder probe. So the solder probe looks like, the solder probe looks like this. This is normally used for soldering. If we were sort of trying to guide the solder where to go, that's sort of what we would normally use it for. But because it has a very fine point on it, I find that can give us a bit more sort of control, a bit more detail. So I tend to sort of maybe use that in the torch, gently heating it up to get it nice and hot to do what I want it to do. So yeah, that's the wax tools. Did anyone have any questions about the tools?
What are these for? Like the.
So that's the wax.
Plastic.
That's the wax itself.
Is it?
Yeah, we'll go on. We'll move on to the wax itself now.
I thought these were
if no one has
plastic.
any questions.
Okay.
You thought it was what?
I thought it was plastic because obviously, like, I thought that was wax.
Yeah.
And I thought those were plastic because that's like quite a bit harder.
Yes. Yeah. So they're different. Wax comes in different forms. Let me hold on. I'll just move next to my pile of wax. Did anyone have any questions about tools whilst we're here, or will we just crack on?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, my internet's really wobbly today. I lost you for a few minutes, but I'll just watch it again when you load it up.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's all right. Right. Well, I'll carry on. I'll carry on, and we'll chat about the wax itself. So wax comes in different forms, and in different blank styles. So in your pack, like Jen was saying, you've got 3 bits, and that's sort of to get you started, to get a feel for it, and to see what you like, what you don't like. So the first bit is the modelling wax. So this is like a big chunk of it. And this wax is you can work it by hand. So it's sort of partly, it becomes malleable and like pliable from just the heat of your hands. So you don't actually need any tools to use the modeling wax. You would just sort of tear bits off, heat it up in your palms, and sort of model it to whatever shapes you want. It's really lovely in the way that it's so soft and does whatever, but then it can also get frustrating because it can almost be too soft and almost sort of melt and fall apart as at times. So it's just another type of wax just for you to just have a try, have a feel for it. Another thing to say is that all the types of wax, they can be combined together. So you might find that the soft pliable modeling wax gets you a really good texture, but you want to combine it with something that gives you a little bit more structure, and you would sort of be able to melt them and stick them together. So that's the modeling wax. Then you've also got a ring tube, a little section of ring tube. We'll talk more about rings next week. But this is how they normally come in sort of a long, this is what their packet would look like, in a long blank tube. And yeah, so this that's the ring blank. Then you also get it in sheet form. So I've given everybody like just a little sheet, which would be like these, just in sheet form. And then it also comes in like a huge block form. So like this is like a huge block of carving wax that you would sort of cut to size, cut to how you wanted it to be. It also comes in wire. So I've not included any wire in people's packs. If you want wire, then just let me know. So this is like a spool of 1.6 mil wire. And here's some little wire wax assortments in little diddy wires. There's also a cylinder, and there are many different forms it can take. So also with the wire, with the wax, it comes in different colours. So sort of your main sort of standard two are your green and blue, but they also come in like turquoise, gold, purple, I think. So there's a little variety there, and basically the color of the wax is sort of equal to the strength of it. So it might be, you might not really feel the difference much sort of when you're starting out, but the green wax is much stronger than the blue wax. The blue wax is just that little bit softer. So sort of if you sort of was getting really into it, then sort of if you had you needed to carve a ring that needed to have stone settings in it, you would probably use the green wax so that it could be that little bit stronger. Yeah, so carving wax one. There's also injection wax again, that's sort of in pellet form, which comes out of the wax injection machine, which we'll talk about more when we're talking about multiples in week 4, I think. So yeah, so that's the different types of wax that we've got. And like I was saying earlier, the process is called lost wax casting, and it's because the wax itself is going to get melted away. wax is just the first stage of the step of the design, and it will become metal. So something that's really important to consider is the weight. So the weight of your wax is not going to be the weight of your final piece of jewelry or final object. The wax is times by the relative density of the metal that you're casting in. So for us guys, we're going to all be casting in copper. And so that's times by 8.9. I think silver's times by approximately 10. Aluminium is really light, so I can't remember what it's times by, but that's quite lighter. But especially with your copper and silver, it's quite hard to describe. But when you physically have a wax and its equivalent in metal, like held out, it is quite substantially weightier. So that's something to consider when you are carving and when you're creating your shapes. That's why we were talking about the burrs. So the burrs were these little guys, and they would be used to burr away, to get away some weight so that it's not quite so heavy. I don't think I showed you examples at the start, so I will show them in a sec. But for example, this is a wax carved flower, and the back is all burred backwards so that it can take some weight away. Weight is something that is important to consider when it comes to jewelry, because if it's too heavy, if the ring's too heavy, people might not want to wear it. If like earrings are too heavy, people again won't want to wear them. It's something just to bear in mind, really. Yeah, so I'm going to come back over this side, show you the. Sorry, that chair's so squeaky. Show you the samples and then talk about the first bit of wax. Is everybody still with me? Does anyone have any questions as we're where we are? No? Okay, we'll carry on.
Millie, the burrs weren't in the pack, were they?
No, the burrs aren't in the pack. In the pack, you've just got your big file, small needle files, and your carving tools, and the saw blade, and then your bench peg to help you with the sawing. So I'll just show you the samples that I've got in front of me. So this one is a little flower, as is this one. Can everybody see them? Can I get a yay?
Yes.
Thank you. That's a signet ring. That's like a carved wedding band. Something a bit bigger. These are some 3D prints that Ben gave me as samples to talk about. And then this is what they would be like in metal. So this is not cleaned up at all, but that would be what this would turn into in copper. That would be what a fitted band would look like. You can get some really funky shapes. shapes like this. Stuff that you would maybe, like I say, struggle to get in just sheet. Okay, so last bit that I'm just going to talk about is where to get started with your sheet wax, which is this one that's in your packs. So where I would start off with is with some tracing paper. Just draw your design, whatever it may be, and attach it to the paper. So first of all, I'm just going to draw very simple flower on my tracing paper. Here's my sample. And just using prick stick, I'm going to attach it to my sheet wax. That's my sheet. So that's my little drawing on tracing paper on my wax. Then what I'm going to use is just a sharp tool. So in the jewelry workshop, I'm going to use my center punch because I've got it handy, but it can be anything that's sharp. So just a needle itself works fine. And you're just going to pin prick, tracing around your drawing so that it pushes the drawing that you're doing into the wax itself. So I'm just going to do a little bit more so that we can see. This is what I'm doing. Pin pricking. I can't really tell if anyone can see, but I'll keep going a sec. So we've got something to look at. So that's it, pin pricked. And then you take off the tracing paper and then you should see your little holes that you are gonna draw around. I really can't see with that light. Okay, so I have, if you can't see it, just trust me. There is a pin prick drawing of a flower. I'm just gonna use my center punch or use my scribe or my needle to just draw around it. Obviously, this technique's is good if you've got something that's a bit more precise. So then you've got your drawing, and then with the bench pegs and G clamps that you've got in your packs, so that you can attach it to any table, whether it's at home or in your studio. And you would just start off with your saw, remembering that it works in the vertical position. So we're cutting in an upright, up and down, just the same as what we would be doing with metal. And you're just gently gonna start cutting it. What's good is if you're at home and you don't have to wear your masks, is that you'll see lots of wax dust appear, and you can just blow it away. See, it's a little bit harder when you've got your mask on, and you just have to keep using like a little brush. I find just like a little paintbrush can sort of just dust it away, or just move it with your finger, because it can just get in the way of your line to see where you're going. But so that's that's as a starting off would be us cutting out the shape. And then once you've cut out whatever your shape is, that's when you would then move on to your files and start to use them to shape it round, get rid of some scratchy lines, sort of build some 3D-ness with it, really. Yeah, I'd say this week especially, just get a feel for the wax, see what type of wax you like, see how you feel with it, and so then next week we can sort of chat a bit more about what we've found out about the wax, what we like, what we don't like, and if there's more wax that you're wanting, or if you wanted like to try the cylinder wax, or you want to try the wire wax, then you know what you're asking me for. But yeah, that's all I've got to talk through today, though, guys. Is there any questions?
Yeah, so I was wondering, you're saying sort of play with the wax a bit. I have no idea what I want to do at this point, but like, you know, I don't need to be precious about the wax. I can just get more for my actual things, can't I? Because I didn't want to go use it if I couldn't get much more of it. But you know, if it's just practice,
no, I can give you guys more. Like I say, it's hard for me to know exactly what you all want.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'll give you a little bit of 3 different types, and then if you say to me like, "Oh, my whole thing's going to be made of wax wires," so then I would be like, "Yep, that's fine. I'll give you a load of wax wires." Okay. So just keep talking to me. If I've not got it in, then I'll need to order it in. So just if you let me know as soon as you know, then we'll be good to go. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just didn't want to go using it if it was, you know, can get more.
Yeah, no, I know. No, go for it. Just play with it, really. See what you feel.
When can
Did anyone else have any questions?
When can I pick up my pack? Because I just missed you like last Friday when I was going to come and get it.
Yeah. Hi, Finley. Yeah, if you come today, or no, you're not in today. Whenever you're next in.
Thursday, yeah, I'm in Thursday, so.
Thursday. Come in on Thursday after 10:30.
Perfect.
And I'll give it to you then. No worries.
The blue, well, I've got a blue one, the ring ones. Is that the same as the green? Is that the same kind of consistency as the green? I've got a little green plate.
The different colours of wax.
Yeah, is that the same? Yeah, you can just play with we can play with the blue ones as well as the plate ones.
Yeah, so is the blue one, what is your ring blanks?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll talk more about rings next week, but yeah, the different colors of wax just like relate to the strength of the wax. So they're essentially those 2 blocks that you've got is what we would call carving wax, and they're essentially it's the same, but the green is a little bit harder, a little bit stronger than the blue.
Okay, so can we take the brown wax and put it on top of the green wax, or how does that work?
Yes. Yeah, you can combine all different types of waxes together to sort of create your designs, because it will all be burnt out and it will all become the one metal at the end. If you were joining the waxes together, that's when you might need to be using the heat. So using the hot tools like the spirit lamp with the dental tools.
Okay, so if we've got a soldering iron, for example, at home, can we use that to heat it up and stick it together?
Yeah, if you've got a soldering iron at home, then go for it. Yeah.
Do we just dab it onto one of them and then just like glue them together with the melted wax like you were playing with a candle?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. You it partly melts, and then you would push it onto the other piece. Hold it for a few seconds for the wax to set as such, and then that should be it joined.
Okay, thank you.
is there any other questions? No? Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Millie. I don't know whether I missed it. The saw blade, is that just, do we have to put that in a specific way like the other one? I can
No,
feel it's
actually, that's a
quite-
good point.
I feel
The
it's-
saw blade,
Yeah, I can feel
Sorry,
it's
carry on.
kind of like if you rub your finger up and down, it's kind of one way is, you know, cutting into your finger, the other one isn't.
so with the saw blade, it's a spiral saw blade. So it sort of cuts in sort of all directions. So you're quite right. Unlike the standard saw blades, this one can go in any way. It doesn't matter whether it's upside down or not. It's always the same way.
Okay.
It's just when you're putting it in, it's just the same thing as that is getting the tension is what you're wanting from it.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. All right then, guys. I will leave it there if everybody's good. If anyone has any questions throughout the week, then obviously just send me an email and I'll do my best to answer. And like I say, there is obviously 5 slots on. You guys are in on a Friday, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, just book it. Like book it if you want it. It's there. You need to come and use the workshop. But cool. Thank you all for coming, and I will see you guys all next week.
Okay, thank
Thanks,
you.
Millie. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.